Let's get to our 5 headlines. By the way, as we've been talking about this Hunter Biden laptop story that was buried by Facebook and Twitter, and big tech teaming up with big media to cover this up. Now, personally, as I've said, I'm worried that the Hunter Biden stuff will not have the effect that it should. It won't resonate with the voters. I don't know, but I have a cynical view, as I do of most things with this. But big tech's attempts to censor the story, I think that is something, especially that resonates with voters, because voters are worried about censorship, and for good reason. And I think there's a role for the government to step in here, but you also have to balance that with having them involved and the dangers of getting government involved in anything. And so there's a lot to balance and think about. That's why this week, our own CEO, co-CEO, Jeremy Boring, launched a new podcast titled Enough. In his first episode released yesterday, Jeremy takes on the leftist outlets trying to get conservatives kicked off of Facebook. This has been an effort, obviously, that they've been engaged in for a long time. Listen now at the link in the description and subscribe to Jeremy's podcast to get his other rants about big government, big tech, Hollywood hypocrisy, anything else that comes to mind. It's a great podcast. Check it out. And if you like it, leave a review so it gets recommended to more people. All right, we'll get to our headlines here. As you can see, by the way, boxes. This is our last day in this house, and so that's why everything is empty and very sad. More about that later, though. Number one, a clip from Joe Biden that he posted, which is getting some attention. Well, I'll just play it for you first. Watch this.
America was an idea. An idea. We hold these truths to be self-evident. We've never lived up to it, but we've never walked away from it before. And I just think we have to be more honest and let our kids know as we raise them what actually did happen. Acknowledge our mistakes so we don't repeat them.
Okay, Joe, first of all, no, America is not an idea. It's a country. It's a country founded on certain ideas, but it's not itself an idea. This is not a pedantic point here. This is important. The left actually does want us to see America as an idea and not a country, because that's how they justify rampant, unchecked immigration. That's how they do it. That's their line. They say that essentially, as long as someone has the same idea, then they're already American. They're already part of the country. It's just an idea. But no, America is a legal entity. It is a country. And one of the ways I know that is that because I have to pay taxes. And so do you probably. You don't have to pay taxes to an idea. You pay taxes to a country. And I'm guessing that on tax day, I can't refuse to pay my taxes on the grounds that ideas don't cause money. When the IRS comes knocking on my door, wondering why I haven't paid taxes, I can't rip a bong hit and say, hey man, America's an idea, bro. Okay? It's just like an idea. Chill out, man. Something tells me that line of reasoning, that argument will not be persuasive to the IRS agents, but I don't know. Number two, from the Daily Wire, says CNN host Chris Cuomo was shamed by his building manager and threatened with a fine for disobeying regulations and walking through the building maskless. Fox News host Tucker Carlson released a letter that Cuomo's building manager apparently sent to the CNN personality on August 6th, outlining the complaints against him. And I'll play this. This is Tucker reading the letter. Listen.
This show has obtained a letter from the management of Chris Cuomo's New York City apartment building. The letter in question is addressed directly to Chris Cuomo. The date on it is August 6th, 2020. Here's what it says. Quote, Dear Mr. Cuomo, as I'm sure you know, because of the ongoing COVID-19 health crisis, on April 15th, 2020, Governor Cuomo issued Executive Order 202.17, which requires anyone over the age of 2 to wear a face mask or cloth that covers their mouth and nose while in a public space. Okay, that's how it starts. And it's a fair guess that Chris Cuomo already knew that because, after all, he's the mask guy, and of course his own brother issued the order. So with that in mind, listen to how the letter continues. Quote, you have been observed entering and exiting the building and riding the elevator without the required face coverings. Even though staff members have asked you to comply with this requirement, you have refused to do so. This is a violation of the executive order, building policy, and it places other residents and our staff at risk. There are no exceptions to this rule, and you are required to comply. The letter goes on to threaten Chris Cuomo with a $500 fine if he continues to endanger his neighbors and the city with his masklessness. That's what the letter says.
Yeah, no surprise there. Although I have to say, I do enjoy Tucker Carlson casually destroying Chris Cuomo on his show like twice a week now. I do enjoy it. Someone has to do it. And with the mask thing, of course, as we've seen time and time again, pure hypocrisy. Not just the mask thing, but lockdowns, everything. These people that are pushing it, they don't believe it themselves. They don't think that it applies to them. And it's really easy to support something like a mask mandate, a lockdown, when you personally are exempt. Even if you're not really exempt. But if you feel like you're exempt and you're going to operate that way, then it's pretty easy to advocate it for everybody else. So more of the same there. Number 3, back to Joe Biden. Finally giving his, I guess you could say, his fullest answer yet on the question of court packing. It's still not really an answer, but it's the most we've gotten from him. Here's what he says.
If elected, what I will do is I'll put together a national commission bipartisan commission of scholars, constitutional scholars, Democrats, Republicans, liberal, conservative. And I will ask them to, over 180 days, come back to me with recommendations as to how to reform the court system, because it's getting out of whack. The way in which it's being handled. And it's not about court packing. There's a number of other things that our constitutional scholars have debated, and I'd look to see what recommendations that commission might make.
So you're telling us you're going to study this issue about whether to pack the court?
No, whether there's a number of alternatives that go well beyond packing.
This is a live ball.
Oh, it is a live ball. No, it is a live ball. We're going to have to do that. And you're going to find there's a lot of conservative constitutional scholars who are saying it as well. The last thing we need to do is turn the Supreme Court into just a political football. Whoever has the most votes gets whatever they want. Presidents come and go. Supreme Court justices stay for generations.
It's getting out of whack, he says. It's all out of whack. The courts are all, to be clear here, when he says it's out of whack, what he means is that Republicans were able to confirm a few justices. That's what out of whack is. The left's stranglehold on the court was broken, and so that means the court is broken. That's what out of whack means. That's what they mean. That's what the left always means when they say something is out of whack, broken, needs to be reformed. Desperate reform is needed. We need to change it fundamentally, fundamental change. What they mean is that in this particular area, things have not gone 100% our way. And so that's always what they mean. We need to reform it because things have not worked out 100% how we want them to. The whole thing is broken. If this isn't working exactly how I want it to, then it must be broken. It's the only explanation I can come up with. Number 4, speaking of it not going how they want, the Senate Judiciary Committee today voted 12-0 to advance Amy Coney Barrett's nomination, sending it to the Senate vote. I think they're going to vote on Monday, so to the full Senate. The reason it was 12-0 is that all the Democrats boycotted the vote. Poor guys. They're very upset. Their tummies hurt, and they just weren't going to show up to vote. I don't know what. So now it's a unanimous decision to move her nomination forward. That's how what are they even trying to achieve here politically and in terms of optics? You're upset. You can't really say why you're upset. Well, you don't like her because of her what you perceive her ideology to be. But all this stuff that they tried about how this is unprecedented, this is unconstitutional. Well, of course, that's ridiculous. So they couldn't come up with any good reason to boycott, but they did. Politically, though, all you have done is ensure that now we can say she was unanimously approved by the Senate Judiciary Committee. Good job, guys. Number 5, finally, the website 538 has published what they call the ultimate definitive Halloween candy power ranking. I don't know what method they used to arrive at this, but it is a fatally flawed method, I can tell you that. This is what their top 10, okay? Here's their top 10. Reese's Peanut Butter Cup, Reese's Miniatures, Twix, Kit Kat, Snickers, Reese's Pieces, Milky Way, Reese's Stuffed with Pieces, Reese's stuffed with pieces. Peanut butter M&Ms and Butterfinger. Payday candy bars don't make the list until number 47. They put Milk Duds ahead of Paydays. And they've got Nerds above Mike and Ike. Speaking of out of whack, this list is out of whack. It's absurd, it's offensive. Reese's are way, way, way overrepresented. They make up like half of the top 10, if not more. Which of course is to be expected for the most overrated thing on earth, potentially. If I were to make a list, my own list, of the most overrated things, period, in all categories of existence, it would probably be number 1, Reese's, number 2, dogs, number 3, the Beatles, number 4, the beach, number 5, Star Wars. Those are the most overrated things, but Reese's is definitely at the top of that list. Peanut butter itself is overrated. But Reese's peanut butter isn't even real peanut butter. It's like some kind of factory byproduct with a vaguely peanutty flavor surrounded by stale chocolate. Snickers obviously is the best candy, just objectively and scientifically speaking. Paydays should be in the top 5. And if you've got a more mature adult palate able to pick up on the subtleties of flavor, then you're going to enjoy Payday. Mike and Ike's are top 5. Milky Way probably rounds out the top 5. Kit Kats are great if you like the taste of cardboard. Butterfingers are very good if you're the sort of person who enjoys eating congealed, hardened vomit. But it doesn't belong anywhere in the top 100 or anywhere else on earth, frankly. So this list is an abomination, as expected. Well, I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Matt Walsh Show. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right down there so you can stay up to date on all of our future content.